Do you have any plans to reduce your dependency in TSMC and also pass on some orders to Intel or Samsung?
Do we have any intentions to reduce our dependency on TSMC? No. The reason why we depend on TSMC is because they're the world's best, and they're the world's best not by a little bit. They're the world's best at what they do, like we're the world's best at what we do. By a lot. I mean, it's incredible how good they are at what they do, and it's not just technology. It's technology, it's scale, but it's also the deep trust that we have in working with the company and their agility. Whenever something challenging happens, like for example, quite well known was a Blackwell challenge that we had with yield. It was 100% NVIDIA, but still TSMC marshaled tremendous resources to help us recover. And now we're in full production again. Everybody's happy again, and we're ramping at a scale that the world's never seen it before. It's hard to do that, and it's just quite a special company. But nonetheless, it's important for us to have always as much diversity and redundancy, and TSMC is building fabs in the United States. We of course have options with Samsung and Intel as well, and we'll continue to evaluate them. But the important thing to realize is just that TSMC is just truly extraordinary and quite a special company. As my last question, answering and talking about TSMC is a great place to stop. and that tells you something. I enjoy talking about other companies' success as much as I enjoy talking about ours. And I think that in order to be a great industry, we need to have great partners. And here in India, we have extraordinary partners. The number of companies that I mentioned, from Infosys to Wipro to TCS, from Tata to oh my gosh, Yota and E2E to so many. See, I can't even remember all of them. And not to mention the companies that are like ourselves. Even though we're international companies, we have large presence here. NVIDIA is, in a lot of ways, I wasn't joking that the reason why I liked NVIDIA was because it sounded like a great place. India, Polynesia, Malaysia. It sounds like a place to me. Incredible. And then today I realized that the name of our company is the Goddess of Wisdom. I love that. Goddess, is that right?
Yeah.
Is it Goddess of Wisdom?
Yeah. Knowledge.
Knowledge, the Goddess of Knowledge. I knew that all along. I've known that. And so I love what our ecosystem is doing well. All of our partners here are doing well. I love all of our friends doing well, because in order to create the future, you have to do what's do it.
Amidst Nvidia's turbulence, a beacon of hope emerges from Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, which reported a remarkable surge in sales. The intricate dance between Nvidia's chip designs and TSMC's manufacturing prowess could spell a new chapter for Nvidia, possibly revitalizing its standing in the competitive AI landscape. As speculations swirl and data points align, investors and analysts alike await Nvidia's next move with bated breath. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
How do you see people actually interacting with this technology in the near future?
Cleo, everything that moves will be robotic someday, and it will be soon. The idea that we'll be pushing around a lawnmower is already kind of silly. Maybe people do it because it's fun, but there's no need to. And every car is going to be robotic. Humanoid robots, the technology necessary to make it possible is just around the corner. And so everything that moves will be robotic. And they'll learn how to be a robot in Omniverse Cosmos, and will generate all these physically plausible futures, and the robots will learn from them, and then they'll come into the physical world and is exactly the same. A future where you're just surrounded by robots is for certain. And I'm just excited about having my own R2D2. And of course, R2D2 wouldn't be quite the can that it is and roll around. It'll be a, R2D2.
C-3PO.
Yeah. It'll probably be a different physical embodiment, but it's always R2. So my R2 is going to go around with me. Sometimes it's in my smart glasses.
interesting.
Sometimes it's in my phone. Sometimes it's in my PC. It's in my car. So R2 is with me all the time, including, when I get home, where I left a physical version of R2 and, whatever that version happens to be, we'll interact with R2. And so I think the idea that we'll have our own R2D2 for our entire life and it grows up with us, that's a certainty now. Yeah.
I think a lot of news media, when they talk about futures like this, they focus on what could go wrong. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
There is a lot that could go wrong.
Yeah. We should talk about what could go wrong so we can
I'd
keep
like-
it from
Yes.
going wrong. Yeah.
That's the approach that
Yeah.
we like to take on
Yeah,
the show
yeah.
is
Yeah.
what are the big challenges
Yeah.
so that we can overcome them?
Yeah.
What buckets do you think about when you're worrying about this future?
Well, there's a whole bunch of the stuff that everybody talks about, bias or toxicity or just hallucination. Speaking with great confidence about something it knows nothing about, and as a result, we rely on that information. Generating that's a version of generating fake information, fake news or fake images or whatever it is. Of course, impersonation. It does such a good job pretending to be a human. It could do an incredibly good job pretending to be a specific human. And so the spectrum of areas that we have to be concerned about is fairly clear, and there's a lot of people who are working on it. There's some of the stuff related to AI safety requires deep research and deep engineering, and that's simply it wants to do the right thing, it just didn't perform it right, and as a result hurt somebody. For example, a self-driving car that wants to drive nicely and drive properly, and just somehow the sensor broke down or it didn't detect something or made it too aggressive turn or whatever it is. It did it poorly. It did it wrongly. And so that's a whole bunch of engineering that has to be done to make sure that AI safety is upheld by making sure that the product functioned properly. And then lastly, what happens if the AI wants to do a good job, but the system failed, meaning the AI wanted to stop something from happening, and it turned out just when it wanted to do it, the machine broke down. And so this is no different than a flight computer inside a plane having 3 versions of them. And then, so there's triple redundancy inside the system, inside autopilots. And then you have 2 pilots, and then you have air traffic control, and then you have other pilots watching out for these pilots. And so the AI safety systems has to be architected as a community such that these AIs, function properly. When they don't function properly, they don't put people in harm's way, and that there's sufficiently safety and security systems all around them to make sure that we keep AI safe. And so there's the spectrum of conversation is gigantic, and we have to take the parts apart and build them as engineers.
NVIDIA's recent downturn, influenced by slowing AI chip demand and increased competition, seemed like a pump-the-brakes moment. However, TSMC's sales data presents a refreshingly optimistic perspective. Remarkably, TSMC's revenues witnessed a 36% leap, casting doubt on concerns about declining chip demand. More intriguingly, TSMC's December revenues soared by 58%, hinting at a robust upcoming quarter for NVIDIA. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
You design the chips. There are companies that assemble the chips. There are companies that design hardware to make it possible to work at nanometer scale. When you're designing tools like this, how do you think about design in the context of what's physically possible right now to make? What are the things that you're thinking about with sort of pushing that limit today?
The way we do it is even though we have things made, like for example, our chips are made by TSMC. Even though we have them made by TSMC, we assume that we need to have the deep expertise that TSMC has. And so we have people in our company who are incredibly good at semiconductor physics, so that we have a feeling for, we have an intuition for what are the limits of what today's semiconductor physics can do. And then we work very closely with them to discover the limits, because we're trying to push the limits. And so we'll discover the limits together. We do the same thing in system engineering and cooling systems. It turns out plumbing is really important to us because of liquid cooling, and maybe fans are really important to us because of air cooling. And we're trying to design these fans in a way almost like, they're aerodynamically sound so that we could pass the highest volume of air, make the least amount of noise. So we have aerodynamics engineers in our company. And so even though we don't make them, we design them, and we have the deep expertise of knowing how to have them made. And from that we try to push the limits.
One of the themes of this conversation is that you are a person who makes big bets on the future. And time again, you've been right about those bets. We've talked about GPUs, we've talked about CUDA, we've talked about bets you've made in AI.
Self-driving cars, and we're going to be right on robotics. And
this is my question.
Yeah,
what are the bets that you're making now?
Omniverse. The latest bet, of course, we just described at the CES, and I'm very, very proud of it, and I'm very excited about it, is the fusion of Omniverse and Cosmos, so that we have this new type of generative world generation system, this multiverse generation system. I think that's going to be profoundly important in the future of robotics and physical systems. Of course, the work that we're doing with humanoid robots, developing the tooling systems and the training systems and the human demonstration systems and all of this stuff that you've already mentioned, we're just seeing the beginnings of that work. And I think the next 5 years are going to be very interesting in the world of humanoid robotics.
The plot thickens as tech giants like Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Amazon earmark a staggering $325 billion in capital expenditures for AI infrastructure in 2025. NVIDIA, commanding an expected 85% of the AI chip market, is strategically positioned to capitalize on this influx. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
The next decade, intelligence, not for everything, but for some things, would basically become superhuman. And so I can tell you exactly what that feels like. I'm surrounded by superhuman people, super intelligence from my perspective, because they're the best in the world at what they do. And they do what they do way better than I can do it. And I'm surrounded by thousands of them. And yet, it never one day caused me to think all of a sudden I'm no longer necessary. It actually empowers me and gives me the confidence to go tackle more and more ambitious things. And so suppose now everybody is surrounded by these super AIs that are very good at specific things or good at some of the things. What would that make you feel? Well, it's going to empower you. It's going to make you feel confident. And I'm pretty sure you probably use ChatGPT and AI, and I feel more empowered today, more confident to learn something today. The knowledge of almost any particular field, the barriers to that understanding it has been reduced. I have a personal tutor with me all of the time, and so I think that feeling should be universal. If there's one thing that I would encourage everybody to do is to go get yourself an AI tutor right away. And that AI tutor could, of course, just teach you things, anything you like, help you program, help you write, help you analyze, help you think, help you reason. All of those things is going to really make you feel empowered. And I think that's going to be our future. We're going to become superhumans, not because we're going to become superhumans because we have super AIs.
The forecast for NVIDIA's resurgence is promisingly bright. With TSMC's revenue indicators and the scaling investments from major tech corporations, the groundwork is set for NVIDIA to outpace expectations. While the road has been rocky, the chessboard has never seemed more favorable for NVIDIA. Expected to surpass a remarkable $196 billion in revenue, the company is poised at a doorstep of unmatched opportunity in AI. But what do you think about all of this? Share your perspective. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.